Okay, hello everyone. My name is Anuradha Desai. I'm assistant professor in Associate department in computer engineering department of Aditya Silverok Institute of Technology. Um, Today we are going to study one of the very important topic of fundamental of programming subject, which is inheritance, and we're going to discuss about different types of inheritance, different access specifiers. So this is our agenda, in which we are going to discuss about inheritance, in which we will see some example how to write, how to define it. We will see the features and advantages of the inheritance, the public, private, and protected access specifiers. We will also study about different types of inheritance. So these are our agenda, and we are going to cover this in this particular uh, lecture. So let's start with it. Now, what is inheritance? So, the capability of a class to derive the properties and characteristics from another class is called the inheritance. Inheritance is one of the most important features of object-oriented programming. So, inheritance is a feature, or we can say a process, in which new classes are created from the existing classes. Again, I repeat, inheritance is a feature or a process in which new classes are created from the existing classes. So the new class created is called as a derived class. What do you mean by derived? Derived is a example I can say that you can always derive the value of a age from the birth date. So birth, my age is a derived one. So this is an example I just want to say. So same way in the particular inheritance, the new class is created, which is known as the derived class, or we can say a child class. And the existing class is known as the base class, or we can also say a parent class. So the derived class now is said to be inherited from the base class. When we say derived class inherits the base class, it means the derived class inherits all the properties of the base class without changing the properties of a base class and may add new features to its own. The base class properties inherited by the derived class, and also it may add some new features to its own. So these new features in the derived class will not affect the base class. The derived class is the specialized class for the base class. So what is the subclass and superclass here? So the class that inherits the properties from the another class is called the subclass, or we can say a derived class, and the class whose properties are inherited by the subclass is called the base class or a superclass. So here the whole thing is divided, that the topic is divided into the modes of inheritance and the types of inheritance that we are going to study, to get the clear idea about the concepts of the inheritance. And first of all, my question is why and when to use the inheritance? Why there is a need to use the concept of the inheritance? So consider a group of vehicles, just a general example. You need to create a classes for bus, car, and truck. The methods, fuel amount, we can say one of the method is fuel amount, capacity, apply brakes will be the same for all the three classes. If we create these classes avoiding the inheritance, then we have to write all these functions in each of the three classes. Understood? For the class bus also, for the class car also, and for the class truck also, we have to write down these three methods: fuel amount, capacity, and apply brakes. You can clearly see that the above process results in the duplication of the same code 3 times. What I have explained to you, the above process, the above example that we have seen, which repeats the duplication of the same code 3 times. This increases the chance of error and the data redundancy. What is the data redundancy? Means the duplication of the data. To avoid this type of situation, inheritance is used. If we create a class vehicle and write these 3 functions in it and inherit the rest of the classes from the vehicle class, then we can simply avoid the duplication of the data and increase the reusability. Means the same thing, same method can be reused without adding in all the 3 classes. So we have one class vehicle which have the methods fuel amount, capacity and apply brakes. So now the class bus, class car and class truck inherits that particular thing from the class which is a parent class. So using a inheritance, we have to write the functions only one time instead of the 3 times that we have inherited the rest of the 3 classes from the base class. So every time the function need not to be defined again and again in every class, rather it should be inherited because it is the property, it's a function which is there declared in the main class. So implementing the inheritance, we just have to how to write down the syntax that we will see, that how to write down the syntax that also we will see, how the derived class can be defined, how it will be written, that we will see. So here you can see an example, one of the example of the inheritance I have shown. All insects have the certain characteristics. So the insect is my parent class. And in addition to the common insect characteristics, the bumblebee has its own unique characteristics, such as abilities to sting. And in addition to the common insect characteristics, the grasshopper has its own unique characteristics, such as ability to jump. So the main insect's property is derived from the parent class, and the extra characteristics, which is its own insect characteristics, are there in that particular base class, in that particular child class. So here is an example of inheritance. You can see a base class or a parent class inherited from, and the derived class or child class inherits from the base class. So this is how it is written: the class student, and then class undergrad and pub, which have this access specifier we will discuss in the next slide. Public, we have made it public, and student. So this is how the derived classes and the base classes are defined. So you can write down like class and then in the derived class name and then bracket. So class keyword to create a new class, and derived class name of the new class which will inherit the base class. Now we will see the features and advantages of inheritance. So what are the advantages and features of the inheritance that we will see? Reusability of code, as we have discussed, we can reuse the code, which is, we have to define the function only in the base class, and then we can use it in our child classes. So reusability of code saves times and efforts. It's a faster development because developing time decreases, easier to maintain and easy to extend. So capable of expression, the inheritance relationship and its own transitive nature, which ensures closeness with real world problems. So these are our advantages, that advantages of the inheritance and the features of the inheritance. So a general format for implementing the concept of inheritance, I just stated that how it is defined. So class, derived class name, then access specifier, then base class name. So for example, if the base class is my class and the derived class is, suppose here it is my class and the derived sample, it is specified as class sample public my class. Okay, so for here the base class is my class and the derived class is sample, it is specified as class, then sample, then colon, then public, and my class. The above makes sample have access to both the public and the protected variable of the base class my class. Now, these are the three access specifiers. So, if a member or a variable defined in a class is private, if we put a private access specifier, then they are accessible by members of the same class only and cannot be accessed from the outside class. Any other class is not able to access that particular class because it is defined as an private. So when you put private, then the only members of that class will be able to access it. Otherwise, it should not be accessible. Now, public members and variables are accessible from outside of the class. When it is defined public, anyone can access it outside from the class. And the third access specifier is the protected access specifier. So, is a stage between private and public. If a member function or a variable defined in a class are protected, then they cannot be accessed from outside the class, but can be accessed from the derived class. So these are the three types of access specifiers which we are going to use. If you put this three access specifier accordingly, it will able to the another classes will be able to access the method and functions from the another class. So these are the three types of access specifier: the public, private, and protected access specifier. So when the base class is privately inherited by the derived class, public members of the base class becomes the private member of the derived class, and therefore the public members of the base class can only be accessed by the member function of the derived class. Okay, they are inaccessible to the objects of the derived class. So on the other hand, we can say when the base class is publicly inherited by the derived class, public members of the base class also become the public members of the derived class. So therefore, the public members of the base class are accessible by the objects of the derived class as well as by the member function of the derived class. So this is how the access specifiers are used. You can see on different examples and try implementing different examples. So you will come to know about the idea about this access specifier. These are the three access specifier, how it will be used. Okay. So in generalize, I am explaining you again. If it's a public mode, if we derive the subclass from a public base class, for example, then the public member of the base class will become the public in the derived class, and protected member of the base class will become the protected in the derived class. Second, if it is a protected mode, then if we derive a subclass from a protected base class, then both public member and protected members of the base class will become protected in the derived class. The third is private mode. If we derive a subclass from a private base class, then the both public members and the protected members of the base class will become the private in the derived class. Here you have to note one thing, right? That the private members in the base class cannot be directly accessed in the derived class, while the protected members can be directly accessed. For example, classes B, C, D all contains the variable X, Y, Z in the one of the example, let's say. So it is just a question of access, right? So this is how the three modes will be used. Now in the next slide, we're going to cover, I hope everyone is clear with this public, private and protected access specifier. Now we will see different examples of inheritance, different types of inheritance. The first one is single class inheritance. So in the single inheritance is the one where you have a single base class and single derived class. Okay, so a class employee and a class manager. So my derived class here is my class manager, and my class employee is my superclass, is my base class. So what is a single inheritance? In a single inheritance, the class is allowed to inherit from only one class. That is, that one class is inherited by one base class only. Okay, so suppose we have a class, subclass underscore name and access mode base underscore class. So, or we have a class A and class B public A. So here only one base class is there and only one derived class is there, a derived class and one base class. So this is known as the type of inheritance, which is single class inheritance. The another is, the second type of inheritance is multi-level inheritance. What is multi-level inheritance here? Here you can see the base class of B. It is a subclass derived from A and base class of C and derived class of a class B. So multiple inheritance is the feature of C++ where a class can inherit from more than one class. That is, one subclass is inherited from more than one base class. So here you can see a base class of B. So it is a subclass derived from A. Okay, class B is derived from A and base class of class C. So it is a base class for class C, but it is a subclass of our class A. So this is how the multiple inheritance works. So here we can, if we consider with an example, suppose so we can write like that, a class, subclass name, access mode and base class, then class B, then class C. So class A, colon public B, colon public C and brackets. So this is how it should be written in the example. I hope everyone is clear till now. Okay, now our next example is multiple inheritance. This is multi-level inheritance. Now multiple inheritance. So what is multiple inheritance? Here you can see it is a type of inheritance. A derived class inherits from a multiple base classes. It has the properties of both the base classes. So here you can see a base class, class A, class B and class C. So in this example you will be able to see easily, like in the multiple inheritance and multi, don't get confused between multiple and multi-level. In multiple inheritance is the features of C++ where a class can inherit from more than one class. That is, one subclass is inherited from more than one base class. Okay, so here two are class A and class B is my base class and class C is my subclass, we can say, and that can be inherited from the two base classes. While in the what we have discussed in the multi-level, here you can see that class A is a superclass for class B and class B is a superclass for class C. So this is the difference between multiple and multi-level inheritance. Now comes the hierarchical inheritance. What do you mean by hierarchical inheritance? It's like an inverted tree. It's like an inverted tree. See this, the graph over here. See the graph. You will come to know hierarchical inheritance. It is in this type of inheritance, more than one subclass is inherited from a single base class. So that is, more than one derived class is created from a single base class. So here class A is my base class C, B and D are my derived classes. So how the syntax of this should be written? So class A, then brackets, then class B, colon, public A, and then brackets, then class C, colon, public A, then class D, colon, public A, because public A is my base class for all of the three classes, that is C, B and D. So this is how it should be written, hierarchical inheritance. So multiple classes are inherited from it. Okay. Now hybrid inheritance. So this is the last types of inheritance, which is a hybrid, or we can also say a virtual inheritance. So a hybrid inheritance is implemented by combining more than one type of inheritance. For example, combining the hierarchical inheritance and multiple inheritance. Below is the image. Here is an image. You can see that class A, class C, class B, and class B. So it is the combination of more than one, uh, you can say, types of inheritance. So in this type of inheritance, we have the mixture of a number of inheritance, but this can generate an error of using same name function from number of classes, which will bother the compiler to how to use the function. So we have to take care of that. Therefore, it will generate error in the program. This is known as ambiguity or a duplicity. So ambiguity problems can be solved by using the virtual base class. So these are the types of inheritance we have discussed. A quick revision of all the 5 classes. Here we can say a single class inheritance in which a class employee is there, class manager is there. Manager is a derived class from the class employee. So in the single inheritance is the one where you have a single base class and you have a single derived class. Another example, in the multiple inheritance, you have a class that inherits the property from the another derived class, and that also inherits the property from the another class. So here B is the class, superclass of A is a superclass of B. It is a subclass derived from A, but a superclass of a C, and a base class of a class C, and derived class of a class B. So this is how the multi-level inheritance work. What is a multiple inheritance? Here there are more than one base class, and the another class is deriving the properties from the two base classes, inheritance from the multiple base classes. This is known as the multiple inheritance. Hierarchical inheritance. In the hierarchical inheritance, it's like an inverted tree. So multiple classes inherited from the single base class. It's quite analogous to the file system in a Unix-based system. So derived class, one base class C, B, and D. All the 3 classes are the subclasses or derived classes of one of base class, which is A. And hybrid inheritance, in which a mixture of the number of inheritance, but this type of can also generate an error of using the same name function from number of classes, which will bother the compiler to how to use the function. So we have discussed the types of inheritance, we have discussed the features and advantages in this lecture. So I hope everyone is clear with this, the concept of inheritance, and I hope I am just able to justify all the agenda and fulfill all the agenda that have written in the second slide. Okay, thank you all. Thank you all.